at a cutback situation, likelihood is there are people in there, and if we're having to readjust or react to something that's been cut out, and there's going to be either opponent in there or teammates in there, so we're going to have to deal with that anyway. So for us to replicate it and stick a mannequin right in front of them, it's important for us. Otherwise, we can't. Everything would be too easy. We get full vision of the ball, and it'd be too easy for us.
Yeah, I like how when somebody knocked down, was it Casey who knocked down one of the mannequins, and then she still went for the ball.
Yeah.
That's why you got the mannequins instead of a person right there. Just smash a person down. Saskia, anything you want to add to this?
No, I think it's great. Again, I think the mannequin's important because that's realism. I mean, you don't we get into that thing in goalkeeper training where everything's open and you can see everything and everything's perfect and you're doing that's not the reality of it. And most goals come in the NWSL in even in the national team level from inside the 18 with a lot of chaos going on. So to have the mannequins, to have them have to see an obstructed view, to have the movement, to know on the cutback what their range is, that's an important thing. So am I coming and just doing it for the drill, or do I know I can't get to that and drop stepping and getting goal for a good position? So
yeah. Nathan, I got a quick question for you right here in regards
nice shot, by the way, Nathan.
Yeah. I hit 2 sweet ones here.
I was like, whoa.
For maybe some of the younger goalkeepers that are watching this right now, what should they be focused on in regards to when they're watching pros like this in a session like this? What triggers and cues should they be looking for and seeing if they can spot them as well?
Yeah, it comes quick, obviously. So for me, awareness of what the opponent is doing, where the space they're trying to attack, the movement and their ability to track the ball across the goal, their ability to assess the perception of where the ball's going to go and who else is in the box, so that if this ball takes a deflection off the little pool line, and it goes beyond me, then what's the response with that ball? Can I take a touch? Do I need to take a touch? Those things, and that's perception, and then your decision has to come quick from there as well. Yeah. So for me, it would be the biggest thing is track the ball and know where the players are within the frame of the box. Otherwise, it's, you see sometimes within youth sessions or younger goalkeepers, their immediate thing is to move to the player rather than moving and tracking the ball. They want to go to exactly where that player is going to go, but that might not be the player that gets to finish the shot. So, biggest thing for me would be track the ball as it moves across the goal.
I want to say this, Saskia. I think one of the issues I've seen a lot at the youth level, especially, is players in a cutback scenario. When Nathan's talking about tracking the ball, well, they over-track the ball. They go where they think the ball's going. They go faster than the ball, and then they get caught out of position, or a ball takes a deflection, or that sort of a thing.
I actually feel that with a younger goalkeeper, what they do is they're focused. They have no peripheral, and so they're focused on the ball movement. So when this ball's passed, they're focused on the ball movement. And so when it's hit, you have to kind of be ahead of it a little bit and I know that's weird to say, but you can't, if you come with I'm like showing it like I'm on the field. If you come in the ball and you're following a ball like this and like that, if Nathan hits that ball, by the time he strikes it and your eyes come with your head, you're done. Right? You're behind the play. So you have to have your peripheral. You have to know where this ball might land, and you have to get your eyes there kind of first, so that by the time that ball hits Nathan's foot, you're.
Hey, Sas, were you enjoying Nathan's factory there?
I'm like, who's that talking?
It's weird to hear yourself, isn't it?
It is. It is. I got.
Oh my gosh.
Stop stuttering.
No, I listen to the show
Mike.
while I'm driving and while I'm working out. And wow, talk about a masochistic idea.
I listen to Dua Lipa radio while I'm working out.
What is that?
It's just on Pandora.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
it's like I like all the songs that they play. So
Gotcha.
I could not listen to myself talk while I was working out. I'm trying to get out of my head while I'm working out and like clear it. Like I don't need to hear myself.
Oh my gosh, hilarious.
Like I'm trying to get rid of those voices. Already zoned in.
There you are.
Yeah, if you go at the same time of the ball, I think you're behind the shot. See, I'm trying to get rid of the voices in my head. I don't need them in my head.
Did you hear me stuttering right there?
I'm trying to get rid of the voices in my head. I don't need them in my head while I'm working out. But that's just me. Like but that's me hearing myself. Do you see what I'm saying? So what I'm telling everybody out there is please listen to our podcast while you're working out or while you're driving. But for me, if I'm listening to my voice in my head while I'm working out, then I'm gonna be schizophrenic. So
I'm excited about this though. Speaking of schizophrenic, because like we've been talking about doing more sports performance, mental performance type stuff. So I'm glad we're getting more of those types of people on the show.
What a segue that was.
I know.
Not even meant to happen that way.
No, but it worked out perfectly.
Yes,
oh my gosh. You know, it did not work out perfectly. I left most of my video equipment in Mexico, I think.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
Like tripods, my old iPhone.
Where? Like in the hotel?
Yeah.
They'll send it to you.
I hope so. I hope if they find it. I mean, I don't know for sure that it's there, but I'm pretty positive that that's where it had to have left it. Because I had it in my workout bag, and I'm like, well, I don't need this when I'm going to the gym here. So I took it out of my bag, and I think I left it in like one of the drawers or something. So.
Okay. Yeah, talk about things not working out. I'll just leave it at that. Leave that big thing dangling in the air that I just said.
Yeah. I'm very not up to date.
No,
not very up to date.
We'll just leave that hanging there.
Here. Should we listen to more of you?
Very hard thing to teach. Tony DeChico is very adamant about that it wasn't following the path. It was getting there before the strike. Your eyes and your mind there before, knowing where that ball's going to land. So you were ahead of it.
Look at the service from these people. And are you saying this, Saskia, because God, I stutter so much.
Yeah, it's hard. Don't worry about it. As long as you're not humming, it's fine.
Why do you think we started playing this B-roll while
I like that you were playing
the
B-roll, although people might have been confused and been like, I've already seen this one.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. Well, I did put right here, we are going live in a few minutes. So
it says live.
Oh, it says live up here, but like the comment here says we are going live in a few minutes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Is this a public thing yet or not yet?
Oh, I don't really care.
Okay.
To the public out there, I'm no longer with USC. I have moved on. So I wish them well during the season and the goalkeepers especially and everything. But just on to some other things I have to do. So
gotcha. Well, and positive news, shout out to that program. We'll talk about it when the show starts, that new Player 22 program, because that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really is. So, yeah.
Very, very, very excited about that.
I mean, yeah.
Hold on.
There we go.
We're being joined by somebody here.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. Itzik, what's up, man?
What's up? How are you guys? Can you hear me well?
Oh,
yeah, we can hear you great, dude.
Awesome.
We can hear you great. I'm gonna turn this down right here, so we will get this show going.
Perfect timing.
Now. Perfect timing, dude. Like a true mental professional, right there. Love it. Here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, you know her as 99 World Cup winner and Angel City co-owner Saskia Weber. Shout out to Angel City FC, ACFC. You got the hat going. You got the banner in the background. Consistent sellouts by you all. Fantastic.
Yeah. Speaking of sellouts, we'll talk about that after you do some more introductions.
I know. I think you know where you're going. I think you're talking about the U.S.-England match that's coming up, which is
24 hours sold out Wembley.
Absolutely incredible news. And shout out to England for winning the Euros last week. Well-deserved against Germany. Hard-fought match. But that's not why we're here today, guys, because today we're going to get deep into the weeds of mental performance. So we are joined by an expert in that field. We've got the one only founder of Mental Coach Pro, Itzik Rapaport. What's up, dude?
What's up, my man? Thank you for having me on.
I'm excited about this, man. I mean, because I'll be honest with you, Susk, we always talk about this, how important, the psych aspect is, and especially on the mental side when it comes to goalkeeping, right, Susk?
Oh, it's beyond important. If we're going to focus on goalkeeping with it, that stigma, all goalkeepers are crazy, is actually not true. I just think they're very deep thinkers, and they're playing an individual position on a team sport and with a lot of pressure. So a lot of pressure.
Now, it's like, before we could get today's topic, which is going to be talking about what is it? Why can't I remember it? All right, Itzik, help me out here. Process over outcome.
Talk about the process.
Yes, the process. We got to trust that process, just like the 76ers did and did not win any NBA titles. But we're going to be more successful with that. That's a deep cut for a lot of people there.
I know, way to win us fans there.
Just a bunch of people turning this off right now. But Itzik, why don't you catch up some people who might not be familiar with Mental Coach Pro and what it's all about?
So Mental Coach Pro is a program that I founded in order to really work on something that I've been passionate about for a very long time. As an athlete, as a Division I athlete, growing up playing soccer my whole life, I realized the importance of the mental game. And beyond that, it's something that everybody knows about. I call it the secret weapon that everybody knows about. Now, how could that be? How could everybody know about it and it also be a secret weapon? It's because we speak about it. Coaches do it lip service, but we don't actually train it. And the reality of it is there's only 3 things any athlete can train. Doesn't matter who you are. It could be me, you, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, Carly Lloyd. It really doesn't matter. Only 3 things any athlete in the entire planet can train. The first one is your physical, right? That's physical work, getting strong, getting faster, getting fit. The second one is your craft, your technical, inside of the foot, outside of the foot, goalkeepers here, right? Near post, coming out on crosses. And the third thing is your mental game. And that's it. That's it. And everything else that you think will fall into one of these 3 categories. And everybody spends a ton of time putting in effort with 1 and 2, right? I mean, that's just obvious, shot stoppers and inside of the foot, left foot, whatever it may be, getting fit, training preseason, all that kind of stuff. But they leave the third one to chance, where the reality of it is the third one, your mindset, your mental game, is what glues all of this together. It's really what allows all of your hard work that you put in for 1 and 2 to come to fruition the way that you want it to look. And it's often overlooked, especially in the youth system. Most professional locker rooms in Europe have a mental performance coach on staff. Here in the US, it's quite a new concept. It's not something, but it is definitely catching on with the awareness for mental health and the pressures now. I mean, they're higher than they ever were before for youth players or college players. And in addition to that, today everybody's athletic. Everybody's good. Being good on the ball or being super fit and athletic is just not good enough anymore. And so the mental side of it is kind of what gives you that slight edge, gives you that little bit more than everybody else and pieces it all together. And I've always been very, very passionate about it. I've always loved sports, all sports, even sports I don't follow, let's say per se, like maybe golf or tennis or baseball for that matter.
We just lost all those golf and tennis listeners right now to this podcast. Just all those golf and tennis listeners just took off.
I'll tell you, the passion is that I always wanted to watch the final play, the World Series. And it wasn't just to see who won. It's to see how the players react when everything's on the line. And, you're not remembered by the little things, right? It's always he missed the last shot at the end of the game. That's why we lost. No, that's not why you lost. That's not why you lost. There's a million things that happened leading up to it. But that's what's going to tie into what we want to talk about today is outcome. And our society is so outcome driven that we as individuals, doesn't matter your sport, doesn't matter if it's in parenting or business, it really doesn't matter. You need to perform in every aspect of your life. And if you're not coming at it with the right mindset, the proper shift in mentality, you're going to fall into the trap that most of society falls into. And so I'm super passionate about teaching this stuff, especially to youth, so they don't have to necessarily have the struggles that make them have to deal with that later on in life. They can adjust things the right way early on, so they get a head start on everybody else.
Yeah. I want to add on to that, and Saskia, you know, we've talked about this before in regards to, you know, during your playing career. I mean, you know, talk about, you know, handling the process. I mean, you were probably one of the most disciplined and focused players that there was out there. And sometimes the outcome might be a little bit different than what you expected it to be. Was that something that was difficult to handle as a professional?
I mean, no, it's reality. You know what I mean? And you accept the good with the bad and everything. But I did mental work. You know, in college, saw a sports psychologist with the national team. We had one that traveled with us. So, you know, I took care of that side of things. I had to. And, you know, from everything from my individual performance to getting over injuries to how to deal with losing, how to deal with winning, like absolutely everything. I trained that just like I trained my body is what we're talking about.
Yeah. And Itzik, feel free to step in any time you want right here. But I think one of the things that you brought up to me yesterday when we were talking privately off the air is the fact that performance coaching is something that has been around for a long time outside of the sports realm. It's in the business realm. It's been quite common.
Very common. And like I just mentioned, performance is everywhere, right? I mean, anybody listening to this can, you know, either you have to perform in class or you have to perform as a parent or as a child. You have to perform for your coaches. Everything that we do is based off of performance. So the stuff that I teach, I have taken it and adjusted it for soccer players. But the reality of it is just like she just shared, is that these are things that you're going to apply for every aspect of your life. And so performance is something that we need to do, and we need to know how to go about it and how to set up ourselves in our mindset in a way where we can perform whenever we need to do it best. And, you know, and that's kind of the reality of it is, you know, she mentioned right there how to win, how to lose, how to deal with injury. The adversity doesn't stop. Those are the adversities of a professional player. But it doesn't stop for you now, does it? I mean, there's still many of aspects in your life that you need to perform, and there's adversity that comes about. And so, you know, I translate this to soccer because that's my passion, that's my sport, that's where I came from. But the reality is that I use these same concepts in being a father to my daughters or establishing and developing my business. So these key concepts are applicable to every aspect of life.
Yeah. I want to say this, you know, this is a great segue, Saskia, to obviously what you introduced this weekend along with other, you know, fellow former players is that, and I apologize if I got the name of the program wrong, but it's Player 22. Is that the name of the program? And when we're talking about performance and, you know, preparing people, you know, for performance, you know, I think this really is a great segue.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a great initiative, you know, started by Angel City. It's not just for Angel City. It's for, you know, hopefully the whole league, and it's for all the players. It's for basically the focus is, you know, to that transition from being a pro player into retirement and setting those players up for success, giving them a place to land. And, you know, how that ties in is emotionally retiring, and mentally it's scary. And with this, like there are people that are going to help you. They're going to put you on the right path. They're going to tutor you. They're going to train you. They're going to open you up to positions in, whether it's in the front office, in, you know, being an owner, being a coach, whatever it is that you want to do, there's going to be a place for you and to help you. And I can tell you just from my own experience, like when I retired, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because I was so lost. didn't know what to do, didn't know what I was doing next, had no support, was already 15 years behind everybody I went to college with because they were already in the workforce, and I had no experience, no resume for it. And emotionally, it sent me into an incredible depression and not knowing how to pull out of it. And so, this program identifies that and is like, no, we've got you, and we're gonna help you with this transition and help you set up the next phase and be successful in your life.
It's like, have you worked with any former, I mean, obviously yourself,
Yeah.
you probably can relate to Saskia's story as well.
I can relate, Saskia, and you're absolutely right. A lot of the players I worked with, some MLS players are just out of college, your whole life, in order to be at a level where you're playing Division 1 or even better, playing professional, that was your life. And it's not just that your life, that was your identity. That's who you are. And so then once that's taken away, well, now who am I?
Exactly.
Who am I? Because all I ever knew to be was a soccer player. And so everything, all the sacrifices I made and the dedication and the weekends and the training, everything was based around that thing. And now at 22, 23 years old, I no longer do this. Well, what do I do now?
And another part of that you don't realize, it's so structured. And your life is so structured when you're playing in college or when you're playing pro, and you're playing for the U.S. team. And now all of a sudden you're faced with, how do I organize and structure my own life by myself? And something people also don't identify is I didn't just retire. My parents retired. Like I retired them from something, and my family and my loved ones from something that they have been on this road with me as well. And how am I dealing with how they're dealing with it? So it's
a complete shift of personality, right? And you felt comfortable being a certain way, and not just you. Everybody around you knew you to be this person, and now you're no longer that person. But the reality of it is, with the proper guidance, one of the things that I work with, when I work with players, the first thing we tackle is, what are your core values? What do you stand for? Who are you? If I cut you open, what do you bleed? What are your core values? Your one word core values that determine who you are, that are your non-negotiables. Now, once you have that, that's your blueprint to every aspect of life, whether it's on the field, whether it's in training, whether it's in business or in school, in relationships. It really doesn't matter, because the closer you are to your core values, the more likely you are to be happy. And the further you are, that you get away from those things, well, then you find you find what I'm looking for, inconsistencies in who you are and how you want to show up. So knowing who you are will actually help you perform as a soccer player better, but will allow you to realize, wait, this is who I am. And soccer players never in those core values. That's not something that fits in there. Dedicated, loyal. Right. Those are the words, those are the certain words that some of my athletes choose. And then once we have that, well, that's the blueprint. So anytime we're unsure, let's go back to our blueprint. Let's see who we really are. And so one of the things, especially as they get older, right? Not the 12, 13, 14-year-olds, but more the college players and professional players, a lot of our conversations are on exactly about that. Who are you? What is important to you? So when they do actually retire, they are, whether by choice or not, they have something to fall back on, because as you know, and I know as well, and many of my friends growing up, at some point you get smacked in the face and that's it. Your playing days are done, at least at the competitive level. Even that, I don't really agree with that. I'm an athlete. I'm turning 40 this year, and I'm still a soccer player. I still consider myself a soccer player. I played last night, and so when you love the game and you have a healthy relationship with the game.
It's like, what are you doing Thursdays? I need to put another player for my 7-a-side men's team down.
Changing diapers and putting babies to sleep.
Yeah, but I don't think, what I think that a lot, like, that post-Olympic stress syndrome, if you want to call it, and it is called, and how many players you see out there that fall into like depression, don't understand what to do. This is stuff, Michael, that it goes so deep as to, I didn't know mentally how to not push myself to be the best athlete in the world. Like, not, go for a run and not like do it so that the next day I think I have a fitness test. Like, how to lift weights, I didn't know how to do any of that. Like, I didn't know how to work out. I know this sounds crazy. I didn't know how to train casually in a sense. Like I didn't know how to go for a run, and it's okay if 5 people pass me while I'm running. Like I was like, what? No, nobody can pass me. Or if I was on a treadmill and somebody's running faster than me next to me, I'm like, no, I have to run faster. And so what happened was, like, I gave up. I was just like, I can't deal with it. And those are things that it's so deep, the things that go through your head and what athletes have to do to make that transition to it's on so many different levels, and people might listen to that and be like, well, that's crazy, like I'm like, no, it's not, it really isn't. But
you know what, with that I want to interject here for a second. That's the best thing you have going for you. You see, that's why you were successful to begin with, right. And that's why you will be successful moving forward. And so the only shift that needs to happen is, how do I take my, I have to train like a beast, and I have to beat everybody. How do I take that and now shift that so I can apply that to be the best, whatever it is that's next thing coming up in your life? Because the default is there.
Yeah, it's funny you said, because I was in the gym this morning, and other things going on with soccer and everything for me, and just made a transition and stuff, and some out of my control. And I just, in the gym, I said, there's one thing that I know I can control, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I was like, and that's what I was thinking this morning. I was just like, this is 100% in my control. I'm in the gym, I'm working out, I'm clearing my head, and everything like that. And that's what we were talking about in the beginning.
Itzik, I just want to know, where should Saskia send the invoice?
Yeah, right. I'm like, I'm in my therapy session.
You know what, Susk, is that the stuff that you're saying is completely normal. Nobody listening to this is like, well, this is mind, but everybody knows it. What they don't know is that it can be trained. It can be taught, just like you learned everything else. You can learn how to shift your mindset in a way that will benefit you. And that's the work, right? That's what I mean when I say the secret weapon everybody knows about. Everything here that we're talking about is common sense. But have you ever had, you personally have, but have these other people done the training to be able to understand each and every one of these concepts? And these are drills. There's drills that teach these things in order to be able to implement. Just like if you wanted to get a better left foot, right? Let's say there's, someone who wants to get, a better left foot. They wouldn't just read about it or talk about it. You would have to have certain drills. You take a bag of balls, and you wouldn't just knock the ball once or twice, but you just bang away one after the other. And then your brain starts understanding, okay, this is what's happening, and you get better at it. The stuff that he just pulled up right now, Mike just put up, these are the concepts that we go over. And every single one of these is broken down with drills that can teach these things. And so by doing so, you're able to fine-tune these things, learn them, and then implement them into your game. And if you look at it, I know it's a little bit small, but there's nothing here, Sask, and I'll have you, why don't you take a look at it? Tell me any one of these that you can pull away and you would still be the successful player that you are.
If I could take it out?
Is there anything there that's not necessary?
No, not at all.
And there's nothing here that you haven't heard of from your coaches, right?
No, it's everything that is imperative for success.
The challenge is the big difference here is that you had the luxury because you played at high levels, but most people listening to this podcast might not have someone that's teaching them how to develop an elite mindset, how to organize their day, how to, what is motivation and commitment? What's the difference between focus and concentration? How to set goals properly. And the example that I give is it's almost, and some people are like, oh, well, I'm successful. I play my game. I do a good job, right? I had a good game. Sure. And the way that I say it is like this. This is the example I give. Tell me if you understand this, Magic. Imagine you were to go into a kitchen and all the ingredients, they don't have labels on them, but they're all there, but none of them have labels on them. And so you grab what you think is the salt and you put that in there, and you grab what you think is the pepper, you put a little bit of that and a little bit of this sauce and that sauce. You might have an amazing meal. And people will be like, wow, that was amazing. You played so great, right? Mm-hmm. But can you do it again? If you don't know what you put in there, if you don't know what works, then it's not likely you can do it again. And that's why we find inconsistency so often, because we don't know what's hindering us and we don't know what's empowering us. And so my job is simply to put labels on every one of these ingredients so you, the player, can understand, hey, you know what? I need a little bit more of that because that worked really well for me and everybody liked that meal that I created. And so by having a clear understanding as to what are these concepts, what works for me, what doesn't, what do I need to put more work into, then this whole idea of mental toughness, right? Everybody talks about mentally tough. Coaches talk about it all the time. Come on, guys, we got to dig deep. What does it mean?
Right.
What does it actually mean to dig deep, to be mentally tough? What concepts are we using in order to get us from where we are to where we want to be? That's mental performance.
And everybody's ingredients might be a little different.
Absolutely. It's not maybe.
Hey,
it's
you
absolutely.
like that?
I love it. I love it. And
Absolutely.
my head's exploding right now because I'm just thinking about just in general and just in regards to myself,
I'm hungry.
how much just frustration. No, just how much frustration in life I've had because I'm either being successful or failing, quote unquote. And I don't know why I'm being successful or why I'm failing. I just know that one moment I'm failing, one moment I'm succeeding.
You know, and that's what most players do. We've talked about the 3 things you could train as an athlete. They're putting in all the effort with, you know, their physical training. They're working their butts off for their technical, and they show up game time saying, I really hope all of it works out and comes together for me. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be a situation where I hope it works out. Okay. There's no fairy dust, you know, that fairy and comes and puts good performance dust on you, and then you're going to play well tomorrow. But you know what? A lot of players are waiting for the first play of the game. So if they have a good touch, then the next one will be a positive one. Well, what if it's not a good touch?
Right.
How are we gonna let a bad touch turn into a bad half, turn into a bad game? Before you know it, you're in a slump. And for what? Why? There's nothing there that needs to be that way. You know, so the objective here, if you look at the slide there, is we teach tools to set up a certain game plan so you can implement it and get the results that you want. That's really all it comes down to, just like anything else.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here, and I love what you said in regards to the fact is that this isn't anything that you haven't heard before, and I think one of the difficult things sometimes, Itzik, is that, you know, and Saskia, feel free to add on here, is that a lot of times it's who the messenger is that's delivering it. You know, a lot of times we're hearing this from parents or other players or our team coaches or whatever, but we're so close. Those people are so close in our lives that it becomes white noise and we don't take it as seriously. But then when we work, you know, with somebody, you know, such as yourself, of your stature, and it's coming from somebody who's non-biased because they're outside of our bubble, maybe it starts resonating a little more. Is that true?
Who are you asking?
Whoever wants to add on to that.
First of all, Majid, you're absolutely right. And it's true. And I have a lot of players that don't want to share these things with their coaches because they don't want the coach to know, hey, look, I'm kind of struggling with confidence right now. I'm unsure. Certain aspects of my life aren't aligned the way. You don't want to share that with your coach because you need your coach to look at you and think, I'm at my top. I'm sharp, right? Sask, I'm sure you can, you know, relate to that. You didn't share everything with your coach. There were certain things you kept inside because you wanted the number 1 spot. You know, so
yeah, I mean, I'll be dead honest with you. I this goes a lot deeper, but on a like not getting really into it. No, I wouldn't go see our sports psychologist for the national team because I felt that her connection was too close to my coaches, and I didn't want them to know. I didn't feel that it was going to be private or impartial, and so I would not go see her. And I had gone to sports psychologists, like I said, in college and stuff like that. But she had to like drag me in there one day. And I was honest with her. I was just like, I don't feel comfortable because you're way too connected and close to my head coach. And I go, and I was like, so I'll go see somebody else, but I don't feel comfortable really airing out what's going on, what's holding what I'm feeling and stuff like that. And what my struggles are. Like, I didn't feel like it was a safe place.
Right. And you're lucky enough to have the opportunity maybe to go to somebody else. A lot of the kids I work with, they're not going to anybody else.
Right.
They're not going to their coaches. They're not going to their parents. And if they're not exposed to me, then I'm not talking to them. So what happens then is that it's all held inside.
Right. Well, the other problem is we have to hold the coaches and the parents accountable as well, because they don't have they might not have the tools to deal with it either.
The challenge here is that, and that's why I work with teams, is because coaches oftentimes tell me, oh yeah, I do that. I work with mental performance with my players. I say, okay, cool. What are you doing with them? It's not even a percentage of the depth that I dive into it, but that's not what's most important. The reality of it is, especially in youth soccer, a coach has 2 or 3 teams that he coaches. He's got 15 to 18 kids on each team. He's got training sessions he's got to put together and tournaments he needs to sign up for. Does he really have the time to go speak to his or her player and really, understand how her relationship with her dad is maybe, showing up on the field? They don't have the time to do that. And same goes with parents. And parents are trying their best. You said it right. 1, they don't have the skill set to teach it. And 2, well, they got a million things going on too. They got other kids. They got, soccer practice and baseball practice and this and that and all the other. And it's too much. And then the kid feels like, oh, you know what? No one's listening. And I didn't even know that there was anybody that would listen. So here I am. And then the brain just takes over. And then we don't understand why the kid plays better at practice versus games. Well, there's a root. And if we don't find the root and treat it, then the brain is going to find other ways to expose this, insufficiency. And that's the sad thing.
I also feel like with parents, if you have, you're listening right now, if you have a young athlete and stuff like that, like, there are times like I love my parents, hi mom and dad, but I would go to them to talk about, but they're kind of impartial. I mean, they're kind of biased. You know what I mean? So like, if I was upset about something and something's not going right, I said, well, they're on my side. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's not really like, it didn't help. It wasn't. You have to understand how to deal with the situations at hand, not just your coach is an asshole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to put it mildly. But no, and I think that the more that we can educate coaches, parents, and kids on these issues and just even your slides and stuff like that, it's so important.
Yeah. I want to.
I just sorry, Imagine. We'll dive into this in a sec. One of the things I wanted to mention, I said this to Mike before. I said my job is to educate parents, players, and coaches of a solution for a problem that they didn't know that they have. I have the solution for a problem that you don't even know exists because it's so deep rooted. It's in your subconscious that you think it's because, well, I don't like the coach. And then parents are doing this whole thing that's going on now where they're going from team to team to team to team.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? It doesn't matter where you go. You're still going to be there.
Yep.
And so until you solve what you got to take care of, until you figure out what are the barriers that are getting in your way, it ain't going to matter. It's going to keep showing up. So, that's kind of the idea that parents have to wrap their minds around. And then in regards to what you said, I tell parents all the time, it's not that you're not saying the right things. It's that your kid is looking at you through the filter of mom or dad.
Right.
And when I work with players, I tell them, look, I don't care. I don't care. Of course, I love all my players, but I tell them, I don't care. I don't care if it's, if it's playing time that you're after, or it's, a boyfriend or girlfriend that you want to, it doesn't matter to me. It's about what you want. I'm just going to give you the tools to get from where you are to where you want to be. But I am not vested. Your parents are vested. They've been doing so much since the day you were born that it's hard for them to look at this situation, objectively.
Yeah.
I want to do this. I want to shift the conversation over to the topic, because I think this is something that's really, really important, especially when we're talking about, what are your goals? What do you want to get out of life? I know myself personally, Itzik, I focus so much on the outcome that the process gets muddled because I'm so focused on the end result as opposed to what actually it takes to get there. So I want to throw this up, and because the font is a little bit small, if you can kind of walk us through kind of this whole kind of game plan here, and maybe for some people out there who don't know what we mean by process, what do we mean by the process?
So the idea of the process is basically to be broken down and made very simple. It's what needs to happen in order to get what you want. But the problem is, as a society, we only focus on what we want. We don't really look at what needs to happen in order to get what we want. Now, examples of that, you're hungry. What do? Uber Eats. Bang, someone knocks on your door, brings over a pizza. You need a ride somewhere. Lyft. Someone comes, picks you up. I need Post-its. Amazon Prime. I got it the next day. Everything about our society is now. But there isn't, and there never will be, an app for Let Me Get Fit. There's never going to be something you can order on Amazon that will make you a better player. Okay? These are things that, but our society, especially with the youth, they don't know any other way because this is the world that they were born into. I want it, I got it. Shit, I can ask you guys any question in the world. It won't take you more than 5 seconds to get the answer. You just ask Siri and she'll let you know exactly what you need to know. And it won't take you more than 5 seconds. Everything around us is built outcome related because that's what we want, right? We're consumers, we're customers, and then we want certain things. So the products that we're given is, I can get you this fast. So we take that mentality and now I want to make my varsity team. Okay, great. What are you going to do to get there? I want to score goals. I want to get a clean sheet. Everybody wants these things. It's not enough to want it. You have to figure out and understand what is your process. Now, the process can be different for everybody. But the reality is this. Imagine the things that you're doing and all the callers on, that are listening in, they all want a certain outcome, but nobody has any control of the outcome. If you had full control of the outcome, why would we even play the game? We would just turn in the rosters and we would decide who won the game based on the rosters. Okay, we don't do that because you don't have control of the outcome. You can't control having a clean sheet. There's so many outside factors that are going on. There's your defense. You could have the game of your life and still get scored on 3 times. Best game you ever played in your life. But you're 15 years old and you're playing against the full women's national team and your defense is, getting chopped up. You're going to get scored on. So the outcome is not in your hands. So all that's left is to focus on the process, having a clear understanding of what is the process. So if we look at this here and we said, you know what, I want to score goals. I want to score 5 goals this season. That's an outcome that you want. Let's say as a forward or as a goalkeeper, I want to get a clean sheet. Well, if you want to score 5 goals, you can't control that. What you can control is being aggressive in the offensive third. That's something that is in your control. You can do that no matter who you're playing against. Being on your toes and buzzing in the box, getting shots off, right? Creating shots, combining with your midfielders. These are things that you can do no matter who and what level you play at. I could take a 14-year-old girl, put her on a D1 college team, and she could still make diagonal runs, can't she? She might not get every ball, but she can make diagonal runs. A goalkeeper can't control getting a clean sheet, but he or she can absolutely control communicating with her back line, can't she? Mm-hmm. And they can absolutely make sure that they are, covering their near post, communicating with their back line, making sure that players are being in the positions that they need to be in. But all of these things that I just mentioned that are all process oriented, well, they're going to better your chance of getting the outcome. And when you focus on the outcome, what happens is stress level goes up. The reason is because you cannot control it. When we focus on things that we cannot control, our stress level goes up. And when our stress level goes up, our confidence and our performance goes down. When we focus on things that we can control, such as communicating with my back line or, making diagonal runs, near post runs, these are all things that we can control. And we focus on those things, what's going to happen is our stress level is going to drop. And when our stress level goes down, our confidence goes up, therefore our performance goes up. And at the end of the day, we all want to feel confident. So confidence comes from focusing on the process and what you need to do. The problem is that most athletes do not have a clear understanding and vision as to what their process is. So they're so overwhelmed with the outcome, and then they get very frustrated when it doesn't come about as easy. So when you don't have a process to fall back on, all you got left is the outcome, which is something that is not in your control whatsoever.
Man, I should be taking notes right now. I feel like I'm getting just a free webinar right now. This is amazing. I feel like I'm just going to be a better human being once I'm done with this show right here. Saskia, I want to ask you this because, I think one of the things that Itzik said that I think is really, really awesome, and I think a lot of young goalkeepers especially need to hear this is that goals are going to be scored. Like they're going to happen. And I think so many young goalkeepers go into a college ID camp and their goal is I'm not going to get scored on, or I'm going to get recruited by a Division I school or whatever. And that's something that's complete uncontrollable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think back to last season with UCLA, and we went on that 8-game shutout spree. All right, so Lauren was headed for like the Pac-12, like all-time in a row shutout thing. I hated it. There was so much emphasis put on shutout, and when she finally got scored on, I was like, awesome. I was like, good. Can we just focus now? Like, you're focusing on an outcome that it is what it is. You know what I mean? And that's, you're so worried about it. You're so stressed out about it. People put so much pressure on you about this stupid outcome, about getting like the most consecutive, like who the hell cares? Like nobody cares now because we lost in the first round. Right. So it was like, but it's like, I was relieved when she got scored on because I was just like, it's not in your control. Like it's a perk. You did great organization. You're playing really well. You came up with some great saves and stuff like that. But it can go away in a second, and that's not. I didn't want that to be the focus at all. Like the focus is the journey, and it's and everything. So that made me think about that.
I mean, it also.
I bet you that as soon as that goal was scored, that everybody felt. Now can we just play?
Yeah, I mean, I said to the team, I go, good, now that's done. So let's just keep playing. Like we're only halfway through the season. Like everybody stop talking about it and stop focusing on it. Like it's been a nice part of what's happened, but it's not the meat and potatoes of what needs to happen, it was just a part of it. I also think about when I was I was asked this a lot of times, like what after you won the World Cup, like how did you feel, like and everything like that, like when you after you got off the field at the Rose Bowl and and all that. And I go, honestly, Tish and I went out back into this like foyer place, took a seat, had a bottle of champagne, and I took the biggest sigh of relief ever. And they're like, why? And I said, because this has been such a process. Like I'm like, this has been years and years and years of head down, like working on yourself, dedication, devotion, time. You see the outcome, the world saw the outcome, but it was the process that went into it for me that was like, oh my God, it was, that was the journey. That's why I said that. It was, that was the outcome. But if it wasn't the outcome, it didn't change how hard and the process I went through to get there. So
I love what you just said right there, Susk, and Itzik, I want to bring this up because we were talking about instant gratification, and we're a little bit older than some of our listeners out there who might still be in their competitive playing days, but the world was a little bit different when we were coming up.
Agreed.
And nowadays with social media, young players are just so bombarded with just the final action, the final result of everything over and over again. They start expecting that that's all that matters. That's what's important because that's all that's being shown. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's so important, to be able to show, training activities, on social media and showing people going through the process of some of their favorite players,
I had kids in club that would come to me and be like, okay, what are your goals? I want to play in college. I want to play in a Division I school. And I was just like, okay, but what are you doing to achieve that goal? And like we're saying, what is the process? It's not just, UCLA's just not going to come knocking at your door, at Rutgers, just because you are who you are, just because you say, I want to do this. What are you doing to get there? Like,
that right there is something so very critical and important, because going to training with your team is not the answer. It's not only that it's not enough, but it's also not the answer, meaning you have to know what is your process and you have to be so very clear about it. And you have to understand, when I work with my players, I tell them, hey, what are the 3 things that you're going to do today in this game? And they all have to be controllable. And then I have them swear to me that if you knock out 1, 2, and 3, we do not care about the outcome. We do not care if we won or lost the game if you nailed your 1, 2, and 3. So now this player's focus is on 1, 2, and 3, which is in his or her control. And then they no longer have to worry about the thing that makes the butterflies, gets them nervous, makes them anxious, all these human emotions that drop our confidence and our ability to perform. And so just that little shift, because at the end of the day, shit, you weren't going to get the end result without doing 1, 2, or 3 anyway, right? So why do we put any emphasis on our actual, outcome? That's something we have no control over. And then I make the game about nailing those 1, 2, or 3 things, and then they do that, and then they get lost in the game, right? That's when you enter into a zone, the flow zone, because you're so occupied with doing what you need to do. All that white noise that is hindering you is out, right? Fans, pressure, this, that, all the other stuff. It's not even there anymore because you don't care anymore, right? Of course, we all care, but you understand? You got to mask it with something else. And that's the process that we're talking about. What I did right there that's up on the screen right now is that I've actually broken down all of these concepts into positions, right? So we have like a 4-3-3 formation right there. And so we can see, is that what it was? No, 4-3-3. I'm sorry. What is that? 3-4-3. A 3-4-3 formation. And so those things are set up.
Itzik Rapaport right here.
Absolutely. And then Sask, what I do is I have this lineup and I say, which player can you pull out? And the reality is none of these players can be pulled out.
Yeah.
Every single one of these concepts are completely crucial for the development of a player in order for them to get to where they want. And I group them in a way where we talk about the right culture and setting up a culture around you that's going to align with your goals, right? Everything comes down to clarity, time management, and organization. I don't care how good of a player you are. If you're not organized with your time, especially in the higher levels in college, you're going to get beaten out by someone that knows how to organize their day and structure their time. We talk about goal setting. Well, shoot, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, right? I mean, you have to know where it is that you want to get to, and you have to create an action plan in order to get there. We talk about visualization, mental imagery, how important that is, right? Your brain paints a picture, your body completes the action, and there's a lot of science that goes on behind this. But the difference between a sports psychologist and a mental performance coach is that a sports psychologist talks about the clinical, right? The science, the neurological pathways that are created. A mental performance coach says, okay, all that stuff exists and I know about it, but who cares? Let's get practical about it. What do you need to do today? You don't have to understand what your brain is doing. I'm telling you what it's doing. What are you going to do to make that shift in order for it to be customized for you so you can be the best player that you can be? Right? We don't need to know how something.
I did a lot of mental imagery and stuff. A lot.
Yeah, of course.
In college,
awesome.
After college, everything. Absolutely. And it's not, to people listening out there, it wasn't just mental imagery for making a save or something like that. It was mental imagery, like I brought up, like I had a really big issue with the fear of getting injured, like going up for a cross and getting injured because I had never really been injured. And all of a sudden this started to get into my head, and it was retraining myself, seeing myself not getting in, like I was having these daydreams in a sense, like I would go up for a cross and blow my knee or something like that. And it was retraining that, getting that out of me so that I didn't think that way anymore. Like I saw a new picture in my head. So important.
Yeah. I want to bring this up with you right here, Itzik, because there's a lot of amazing things that both of you have been bringing up. And I think when you were talking about...
I would have done that before I blew my Achilles out, by the way. So, go ahead. No.
I was just going to say, with the organizational aspect, I think I know myself, at least, a lot of times the goals that I've had ended up being more dreams because I didn't put a game plan together to achieve that outcome. Is that something that you've recognized a lot with young players?
Yeah, a lot of times when the players come to me, the first conversation, we do it right here in this office. They come in and we sit down and I say to them, hey,
the couch.
What? Yeah, they got a couch and this is there's a full setup over here. I even got my cleats up. I got my cleats just in case someone wants to get after it. But the first thing I ask him is like, hey, we're sitting here. You came in. What do you want? What do you want to get out of this thing? What do you want to get out of the game? Tell me some of your goals, your dreams. I make it very, very vague just so they can kind of start spitting what they want, right? And then they give me a list and I write it down. And then I ask them, which one of these are dreams and which one of these are goals? And they tell me what they think a dream is and what a goal is. But the reality is, Majid nailed it. A dream is only a dream until you understand and have a clear pathway and a game plan to achieve that dream. Then it becomes a goal. And then once you achieve that goal, then you set up a new one for the next goal. And eventually you get to what was one day a dream, right? When you were a little girl, your dream was to win a World Cup. But when you were training pre-season, going into the World Cup, that was no longer a dream of yours. It became a goal because you understood the pathway. You knew what needed to be done. You knew that what the steps that you needed to take in order to achieve that thing. And so,
right.
What we use is.
I also knew that I'm sure you do. I broke it down even smaller to the point, like, what do I have to do to be hands down the best goalkeeper I can be for myself, like the best athlete goalkeeper in my control. Like what tools do I have to utilize and everything. We've talked about that on the show before. I used to work with the track coach. I used to work with this. Like I found like all these tools. Now, if the outcome of all of that meant that I was on the World Cup team and I won the World Cup, awesome. But that was in my control right there to lead to that.
Right. So what you did is you figured out, where do I need to be at 13 years old? Where do I need to be at 15 years old? That's the breakdown that I do with the players, is that I figure out, that's your ultimate goal.
Did he freeze?
Are we there?
Itzik, I think you might have frozen.
There
are you there? Yeah, there you are. Yeah, you're there.
Frozen.
You're frozen, but you're there.
You with me?
Yeah, we're with you audio, but your video froze. Oh,
okay.
You're back. You're back.
Okay. You're back.
So
yeah,
my apologies. So the idea is, when I work with a player, I say, I want to play pro. Okay, great. I guarantee you everybody wants to play pro. What do you need to be at 13 years old in order to play pro? Well, I should probably be a starter on my team. Okay, so let's work on that. And then let's figure out, what do I need to be? Well, by 15, where do you need to be? Well, by 15, I should probably be in an academy and starting to communicate with colleges. Okay, good. So let's start working on that. So we take the whole thing, what we do is called reverse engineer and break it down. And so now it's approachable, because a dream is so big that you can't even fathom it. So if something is so big, you don't even take one step towards it. Right. And most people have dreams and they stay dreams forever. And our objective is, if it's a dream, well, let's break it down to a series of small goals. Don't worry about the dream. It'll either come or it won't. But that's not in our control. What can we do now to position us in a way where we are more likely to achieve the next thing and the next thing? And by the way, everybody talks about confidence. Oh, my kid's struggling with confidence. No, your kid's not struggling with confidence. What your kid is struggling with is building certain building blocks that will allow them to feel that they can accomplish something. What they're missing is saying something and then doing it. That's what builds confidence. Having a certain statement that you make and standing behind it, and then doing it again and raising the bar and raising the bar. That's what confidence is.
It's not
something that's just going to come.
If you do that reverse engineer and you have those little successes to lead you to the big goal, that builds your confidence on your journey on the way. So, for me, if it was, whether it's physical, working with a track coach, so I'm, exploding faster, and I see that starting to get better and faster and everything, that built my confidence. I'm like, okay. And it was just little goals as far as mental as well. So yeah, I absolutely agree. I agree. We
talk about the top athletes. We talk about the top athletes in the world. Okay. It doesn't matter the sport, right? We talk about mentality. Okay. Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. I don't know how many of you guys saw that, but that was basically a 10-part series on mental performance. Mm-hmm. It was about Michael Jordan and his mindset. The great Kobe Bryant, right? Mamba mentality. Okay. These are certain things. And I think, Majid, you might have a clip there of Kobe Bryant that talks about the process.
I do. Unfortunately, I cannot play it due to copyright restrictions.
Okay. All right. So there's a couple of things that I sent you. And so I have a huge library, because you know what? Sometimes, even though I might say something, it's solid when it's supported, by the guys that are doing exactly what it is that you want to do. Nothing I'm saying is made up. I mean, there's support of each and every one of these things. And so when Kobe Bryant talks about trusting the process and putting one foot ahead of the other and just letting go of the outcome, and doing what you need to do now. And so, we talk about lip service, right? Everybody understands this. But if I asked any player on your team, if I came and said, hey, explain to me your process going into games, is there an answer? Do you have a clear-cut process as to what you need to do? Explain to me what happens when you're met with adversity during a game and you find yourself in a red light situation where you're losing control. Do you have a process to go to? Explain to me what you do after every single game, whether you win or lose. And the answer is going to be no across the board. So we understand.
Maybe that's why
but I'm saying as far as players, or even if I went to your UCLA players and asked them these things, most players don't have the process. They know it's important, and they could say stuff like, Joel Embiid and trust the process. But if I ask you, okay, great, yeah, trust the process. What's your process? Can you define it clearly? The answer is going to be no.
Yeah.
And when the answer is yes, and they have a clear definition, you will be able to see the difference between that player and someone who doesn't.
I'll tell people listening out there, because if you're sitting here thinking, well, yeah, Saskia, but you won a World Cup and you played pro and you did all this. So, obviously everything you did worked out great. I will tell you, when I got cut from the national team the last time in 2021, whatever it was, right before I retired, that's how old I am. I will never forget that conversation. And I went in, and the conversation from the coaches, I'll leave it at that, at who the coaches were, was basically like, you're playing great. It's the best we've ever seen you. You're incredibly fit. Like I had done everything I could do for myself to get to the point. I was confident and everything like that. And then it was like, however, I've decided I'm going to bring in I'm going to start looking at younger players. So, you're going home. And I was like, all right. And she was like, well, aren't you upset? And I was like, why? And I'm like, look, I've done everything I can do. I've checked off. I've gone through this. I am at the best I can be right now. Can't be younger. I was like,
not in my
control. What I said. I said, it's not in my control. I cannot be younger. And if that's your decision, there's nothing I can do about that. If you were to come to me and say, I'm not fit, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I'm not mentally here, I can fix those things. Can't fix that one. So, yeah.
Right.
So.
Right. And I have a statement. I have a sentence that I tell my players that is the opposite side of that. See, you did everything you could, so you were okay with the result. Mm-hmm. And I tell my players, do not be upset for the results you didn't get because of the work you didn't put in.
Right.
You do not have the right.
That's right.
Being upset is a privilege. It's a right. And you do not have the right if you didn't do everything you needed to do.
Yep.
So you got to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I doing everything I can? And you know what? A lot of that is not in your knowledge. You don't know. You have to reach out to coaches, to players with more experience, to professionals in the field that they can give you this input that maybe you didn't know that you were missing. And so that's part of your journey, is to really try to be the best you can be. And once you get addicted to that concept, that reality of becoming better every single day, it's not going to stop when your career is over. I promise you, Saskia, that it's not over for you, not by any means, because it's so embedded. It's in your blood.
I don't know how not to.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't know how to not be a champion.
Yeah.
And so you will be a champion.
Everything.
Absolutely.
At least I try.
Right.
The outcome might not, like I didn't win the lottery, but the outcome might not be what I want, but I bought a lot of tickets.
That was your process.
That was my process.
I want to bring this up, Itzik, because we've been talking a lot about, players, and earlier on we did talk about, players when they move on and they go into other careers, whether it's coaching or in the professional world, the executive world, or whatever. I think there's a lot of young coaches out there, maybe even older coaches, who feel stuck. Like, okay, I've been doing the work. I've been following my game plan, but I don't feel like I'm moving up the ladder, so to speak. I've heard this so many times from coaches. Well, I'm still an assistant. or, oh, I keep interviewing for the head coaching position and they don't, I never get it. Or like, they'll never promote me from the youth academy to the professional team, yada, yada. What advice do you give to somebody like that?
First of all, a lot of the stuff you just said has a lot of, limiting beliefs, a lot of ceiling, a lot of, I can't, they're never going to, black and white thinking. And that's first thing you got to do is you got to scratch that. You got to figure out, hey, you know what, that's enough of that, because that's not helping me. That's not getting me anywhere. Second thing, what I would ask these coaches is, okay, tell me, you want to move up the ladder. Tell me what the top of the ladder looks like. The top of your ladder, what does that look like? Where are we even trying to get to? Because just taking steps up the ladder, you might be taking steps up, steps to the side, 2 steps down, and you're climbing all over this virtual ladder. If you don't know where you want to get to, then we can't start aligning your actions with what it is that you want to get. So first, let's get clarity as to what it is that you even want. What does your ideal life look like? Write it out for me in present tense, as if it is currently happening. So first thing we can do is just kind of remove that barrier of this can't happen for me. It's never going to happen. Let's get that out of the way. And let's talk about it as if it's already happened right now. And for each coach, it's different. Not every coach wants to be the coach of the U.S. men's national team. Maybe it's to be a D1 coach. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's to be the head of a high school program and be a director of coaches for a club. And, I don't know what it is, but you know what? It's not my job to know. You have to know what you want first and foremost. And once you know what you want, well, then now let's start working towards it. And when you know what you want, life will find a way to get the hell out of your way and provide you with what you need to get you where you want to go. But if you don't know where you want to go and you're not crystal clear as to what it is, it's very, very difficult to set up a roadmap and a path to get you there. Yeah. That would be my first thing in asking, I'm not moving up in my career. Well, what is up? What does that look like?
Right.
No. I want to say this right here. Suska, is there anything you want to add on before we start wrapping up and make a little announcement?
No, my therapy session's been great.
This stuff is so, I could talk about this stuff for hours and we didn't even scratch the surface of, how to properly set goals, right? We talk about, coach, tell me what you want. Well, let's set up SMART goals. And, some of you guys can look that up. I know that there's a slide that kind of breaks that down. I'm all about simplifying things and breaking it down so our brain, which is simple, doesn't have to get overwhelmed. Right. And it's about doing a little, a lot, not doing a lot, a little, but just doing that little bit at a time. That's what's going to get you the result. Some of you, we mentioned on this call already, social media, everybody sees the end result, lifting the trophy, all the outcome driven stuff. Don't waste your time with that because it's too far. It's not in your control. And if you ignore that and just do what you can do today, you're not competing with the other kids. You're not competing with the other players. Your job is one thing and one thing only, is to be better than you were yesterday. And if you do that 30 days in a row, 60 days in a row, 352 days in a row, I promise you, you're going to be in a completely different place. But when you get so overwhelmed and so caught up with, well, she got a D1 offer and this guy got he got a professional, contract and all you're doing is sitting in place and looking around you all day long, and it's not healthy. It's not good for you. It's not good for your mind, your body, or your soul. So just start doing something a little bit every day and forget about everybody else. And this is a guarantee. It's an absolute guarantee that if you do a little bit every single day, you will be somewhere else 6 months from now. Guarantee. So it is in your control. I will not listen to my players tell me, well, what can I do? I'm not tall, or I'm not athletic enough, or I don't care about that stuff. Shut up. Are you better now than you were 6 months ago? If the answer is no, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome way to end it. Awesome way to end it. Because I love how matter of fact it was, just how specific, how direct. And if you guys want to get more of this, so we wanted a little announcement to make. We're going to get a lot of it because Itzik Rapaport and Mental Coach Pro are going to be joining the Union Sports. So honestly, we're Really honored to have you come on board. We're right now in the process of creating a bunch of different courses that you two can take for yourself through the Mental Coach program, and we'll be expanding that over the near future. We're also going to be offering a free webinar later on this month. That you can check out, guys. All you got to do is go and register. You got to first subscribe to the Union. That is the link right there. It'll send you to either your Google Play Store, your Apple Podcast, or not Apple Podcast, Apple Store, whatever it's called now. I don't even know anymore.
App
or
Store.
a desktop. App Store. Yeah, just App Store
App
or
Store.
desktop, whatever it is. It's a smart link is what it's called, guys. And you can register. We don't have the final date. We're looking at potentially August 17th, Wednesday, August 17th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, but that's not set in stone. So we will keep you updated. But Itzik, we're really excited about this. And, mind and body is a big pillar of ours over at the Union Sports. So we're really excited that you're going to be part of the foundation. So,
Yay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And before that, guys, if you want to reach out to Itzik directly, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions from a lot of people that are either watching this live or going to be checking out the recording later. Where's the best place for people to connect with you, Itzik?
Best thing, I mean, there's a handful of options. Easiest is probably through Instagram. The account is at Mental Coach Pro, all spelled out, Mental Coach Pro. You can send me a message there. My email address is Itzik, ITZIK, at Mental Coach Pro. Or if you want to get real personal, I promise you, if you call me, I will answer the phone.
All right.
Be happy to have a conversation. My personal cell phone number, 818-942-4466. I'm not messing around.
Nice. I love it.
My goal is to reach out and help as many parents, players, and coaches as possible. So any way you reach out to me, I promise you, I might not get to you that moment, but I promise you, everybody will get a response.
And as for me, you can reach me at the Union Sports, and you cannot have my personal cell phone number.
Oh my God. That is at Saskia Weber on the Union Sports, guys. You can reach out to us at contact@insidethe18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast on the Union Sports or other social medias. If you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, shout out to all you guys that have been subscribing to the Union Sports. It's not just for goalkeepers, by the way, guys. We are still in the beta test right now, but we are going to be doing our full launch this fall, and it's going to be for all positions. So start telling your friends to start joining, start engaging. Shout out to all you guys that have been engaging in the last few days. We've been seeing some awesome session designs in the engagement area, some really great conversations, just really, really, really awesome stuff. Head coach at Chattanooga Red Wolves, what a name for a team too. Great session design recently. Andrei Shpilov over at FC Ural in the Russian Premier League. Some legit people are engaging. So why don't you engage too, guys? That's all I'm saying. And we're going to be featuring some youth players in the very next few days, guys. So really excited about that, guys. All right. Well, that is all the time on Inside the 18.
Bye,
and
guys.
We are out. Later, guys.
Yeah!